There are certain people that have become well known for championing causes they believe in. Martin Luther King Jr. worked tirelessly to improve the lives of African Americans during the Civil Rights Movement. Malala Yousafzai fights continuously for the education of girls in Pakistan. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg spent her life advocating for the rights of women in the United States and became known for communicating her views in the court of law. The path to equal rights has been an ongoing issue in the nation's history. Historically, men and women have not been treated equally in the United States. For example, societal preference towards males was arguably even inscribed in the Declaration of Independence. The document stated, "All men are created equal, with unalienable rights, that ensures life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Due to societal norms, women were not often treated as equals, and were often forced to find creative ways to exert influence. In 1866, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, stating that, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States." Although intended to ensure that former slaves remained free, it eventually became a potent weapon in the fight for women's equality. In 1951, a young attorney named Ruth Bader Ginsburg graduated from law school at the top of her class from Harvard. Ginsburg, a devout feminist, was one of the first to recognize the power of the Equal Protection Clause to fight for women's rights, successfully arguing for its application. The case of Reed v. Reed was brought forth to the Supreme Court in 1971. Sally Reed and Cecil Reed were a married couple, but had divorced years before the case. Sally Reed took their son, Richard Reed. Once Richard Reed reached teen years, the two split custody so he could quote-unquote learn how to be a man with his father. At the age of 19, Richard devastatingly committed suicide under Cecil Reed's custody. Richard was young and didn't have a will, so Idaho law stated that in appointing an administrator of the estate, a man shall be preferred over a woman. The case made its way all the way up to the Supreme Court, where Ruth Bader Ginsburg volunteered to contribute writing for the brief, which is a legal document given to the judge before oral arguments that should describe the details and facts of the case. The brief written by Ruth Bader Ginsburg communicates that even though we are all not physically the same, we are all equals and deserve the same treatment. In her brief, she suggests that this is unconstitutional because the law is discriminating on the basis of sex, which violates the Equal Protection Clause, thus setting the stage for the case of United States versus Virginia. On January 17, 1996, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the rest of the Supreme Court were faced with the case of United States versus Virginia. Bill Clinton, our president, had suggested a test called the scrutiny test, which challenges the problematic matter against the law to see if it disobeys a standard, be performed on the private military school, Virginia Military Institute. The school failed because it only admitted men. The United States' Department of Justice communicated injustice through the form of lawsuit against Virginia Military Institute. Virginia Military Institute, also known as VMI, was the United States' last public men-only school, so the United States went to court on behalf of the 14th Amendment. In response to the Court of Appeals, VMI proposed that they assemble a program called Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership in order to satisfy the justices. In 1995, Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership was developed by the Commonwealth of Virginia at the private college Mary Baldwin in Virginia. They would provide everything that VMI had to offer, but for women only. Virginia Military Institute was tough and aggressive and would test a man's mental, physical, and emotional being. VMI prepares men to go to war, but VWIL wasn't like that. VWIL didn't offer equal staff, scenery, demanding training, rigorous courses, or the same opportunity for success as VMI. They just weren't the same. The case was brought to the attention of the Supreme Court justices. American attorney Paul Bender, lead litigator for the United States, did his responsibility of verbally arguing the case for the United States, which advocated that the two schools are not the same and that the women would not go through the same type of challenging methods.
I think one of the powerful things that's going on here by excluding women from VMI is the message that women cannot compete.
Theodore B. Olson argued the case for Virginia, which tried to show that the two schools would offer identical programs and training courses. He tried to show that there would be no reason to make VMI a co-ed school, and the two schools would stay single-sex to encourage the same intensity and adversity. The Supreme Court ruled 7-1 in favor of the United States, with Justice Antonin Scalia dissenting. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's majority opinion helped many individuals to understand the majority's side by communicating through her writing that all men and women shall be made equal. The decision that came with United States versus Virginia influenced the Supreme Court to deny any law, which, as Ginsburg wrote,
applicable to sex-based classifications does not make sex a proscribed classification, but it does mark as presumptively invalid, incompatible with equal protection, a law or official policy that denies to women, simply because they are women, equal opportunity to aspire, achieve, participate in, and contribute to society based upon what they can do.
She quoted in hopes to advance her effort that the sex discrimination cases should be under the lines of skeptical scrutiny. With these words, she gave many women a chance to succeed, to be challenged as men are, and to serve the country as rightfully as men. Briefly after the majority decision that ruled that Virginia Military Institute was to admit women, the realization that the gender roles in society have become more equal. This was also when sex discrimination cases judged under the skeptical scrutiny basis became new habits in the courts. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, with the support of her other justices, has helped our country by providing more female cadets that are qualified to serve, by using her communicatory voice and opinion. However, Ginsburg's long-lasting legacy in the case empowered more and more women to stand up for themselves through the form of taking over politics, running for offices, becoming leaders, and fighting for their spot in the workplace. Although much progress has been made in the fight for equality, women are still treated differently than men in various areas, such as equal pay. For example, in 2007, just 14 years ago, Lilly Ledbetter fought against Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company for equal pay, in which Ruth Bader Ginsburg wrote a remarkable dissent in favor of Lilly Ledbetter. This case helped to solve a small portion of the gender discrimination, but it also walked the path that Ginsburg blazed, the path of using the law to communicate the inequalities in your life. Ruth Bader Ginsburg made such an impact just by the words that she used, that there are numerous awards given each year to those deserving of it, including the Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Woman of Leadership Award, that is awarded to an admirable woman that has used her leadership to make positive impact on our society, and is an exemplary role model in the law practice. September 18th, 2020. Tragically, we lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg to pancreatic cancer. There is still a path to pave and cement. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just helped to make the blueprints. By writing this opinion, and many others, she is helping to pave the path even more. In the ways that she speaks with ease, she finds the perfect words to come out of her mouth. She inspires so many, every single day, especially me.